Today's Friday, and as we all know, Fridays are for testing. And today I'll be testing a route through the Harz Mountains. The Harz Mountains are a mountain range about 100 kilometers from Hanover. I'm living in Hanover, so it's relatively close. Hanover is a city in northern Germany, which is about 200 kilometers to the East Sea and 200 kilometers to the North Sea. Um, Northern Germany compared to southern Germany is relatively flat. In the south, you have a lot of mountain ranges and the start of the Alps. So comparatively speaking, northern Germany is a bit flat. The altitude is also at a lower altitude. I'm not quite sure what altitude it is in Hanover, but it's not that close to sea level, but it's a low altitude. Whereas if you're going through to the Harz Mountains, you can quickly notice the change in altitude and the change in weather. So in the mountains in the Harz, you around March, April, you still have some snow on the mountains, where in the lower regions, like in Hanover, there's no snow at that time of the year. So as I said, the Brocken is the highest mountain in northern Germany. It has a height of 1,200 meters, and it's quite a nice day trip to hike up there. You can do it easily by foot. You can also cycle up to the Brocken, and they also have this train that goes up to the Brocken. You can imagine doing it in winter. It must be quite a nice experience, but I think it would be relatively cold. So the Brocken is also was quite a strategic point in 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 previous times when we had the DDR. So the Brocken was on the border between DDR and West Germany. So it used to be a military base, but today it's an observation tower. So I think they're observing the different changes in temperature. Um, it's a really beautiful place, and it's like I said, it's nice to go there on a hike. Um, I didn't go up to the Brocken this time. I just did the tour around the Harz. I didn't explore the full extent of the Harz because it's like I said, it's in length. It's 100 kilometers. So I only visit some of the towns. Um, a lot of the towns are well preserved, so they're quite old, and they still have the old architecture. A lot of castles and historic buildings. So if you're interested in nature or architecture or history, I'll definitely recommend visiting some of the towns. So my trip was quite a quick trip. I only really stopped at these three towns, so Season, Goslar, and Wernigerode. And the other towns I just drove through. I think those were towards the end of the day. I was a bit tired, and I didn't stop. But visiting each one of these towns could easily be a day trip. You can stop, look at the architecture, have some coffee, maybe have some lunch, and also maybe visit the forest. The forest is quite big. There's lots of it's quite a big nature reserve, and there's lots to see with rivers and mountains and forests and all sorts of natural wonders that you can find in such a climate. So, like I said, I just went through here pretty quickly, but I will definitely be coming back. So if you have a look over here, you can see some of the greenery and what's in the area. So, like I said, I'll definitely be coming back and maybe doing some day trips in Goslar or Wernigerode and seeing what they have to offer. So the first place where I stopped was Hessen, and I wasn't there really long. I just stopped to check my GPS and make sure I was going in the right direction. But it looked like quite a small little town, and it also looked really nice. So a lot of these style buildings. The next town that I stopped at, I took the scenic route. You could go up onto the autobahn, but I stopped and went south and then north to Goslar. So Goslar is another town, really picturesque, And if you look through here, you can see there's a lot of these traditional buildings, a lot of history, and I only stopped there for a few seconds, but I'll be definitely be going back to see what it has to offer. The next town that I went to was Wernigerode. If you have a look here, they have a museum castle. So this was traditionally a castle. I think the Duke who was living in this area, or the king, I read on Wikipedia that historically he made the Harz Mountain area a no hunting area, so only the royal family was allowed to hunt in this area. So the benefit of this was that everything is really well preserved, and there's even today there's a lot of preservation of nature and history. There is some mining in the area, but and some industry, but it's not that much. Like I said, there's a lot of natural preservation. So Wernigerode is also quite an interesting town. You can see over here the museum castle. I've never been in there, but I'll definitely be going back there. What's also interesting about this town and other places in Harz, they have in Halloween they have these witches festival, and the witches go onto the mountain with their brooms and they jump off and fly away, or I don't know what they're doing, but it's quite a well-known event, and it happens every year. So if you get a chance, definitely go visit it. It's quite well known, as I said. Um, yeah, the other towns that I drove past, I didn't really stop. I just drove past pretty quickly. So, but you can all see they're all the similar sort of architecture and type of town. Luckily, I didn't go in winter because I was on my bike. I have heated grips, but I don't think I would be able to survive the cold temperatures of the Harz. So getting to the Heights is really easy. You can travel by train. I think it takes about an hour. If you want to go hiking in on the Brocken, you can do it in a day. So taking the train, you can get there pretty early, and you can go to Bad Harzberg and start hiking from there, or from any one of the towns that you really want to. And it's about a 20-kilometer hike there and back, and you can do it in a day. They also have some campsites and some cabins where you can sleep overnight, and it's really beautiful. I normally travel by public transport, but now that I have my bike, I think I have more flexibility in what I can do and where I can go. Most towns in Germany are either connected by the Bahn, so the train. So we have different Bahns. So we have the high-speed Bahn, which is really convenient to get between different towns. And then we also have the regional trains, so they're normally cheaper and slower. So getting from Hanover to Bad Harzburg or Goslar is quite easy. We also have a lot of connecting towns with the Autobahn, where you can get quite high speeds either on car or motorbike. The some places on the autobahn have unlimited speed limit, so you'll be driving at like 180 and someone will be overtaking you at like 220. So it's a really high speeds that you can get on the autobahn without breaking any laws. Although you have the high speeds, there's also a lot of regulations on the Autobahn. There's some areas that you can only drive 70 or 120 or 130. So high accident areas, or where there's oncoming traffic or people exiting the highway. And there's also a lot of roadworks. The roads are really well maintained. The downside of that is that all year round there's pretty much roadworks, and this also causes a lot of congestion and traffic. So although you can get high speeds on the autobahn, if you're really looking for speeds, then definitely try try the autobahn. But from a scenic perspective, it's pretty boring because a lot of sections of the autobahn have trees covering the roads, so you cannot see any of the scenery. There's also some areas where they have walls, so this is to stop the sound, and so that the residents don't see the road. But on the downside, you can't see any of the scenic areas. But so I went on most from Hanover to Sessen with the Autobahn, and then the rest of the roads I took the scenic routes. On the twisties in the mountains, you can't really get such high speeds because you have a speed limit in the residential areas of 50, and in some places of 30. And on some of the roads, they're making the speed limit 30, and there's also a lot of traffic, so cars that are driving slow and the sort of thing. So you can't really get such nice corners around the the bends. So yeah, that is a part of the Harz Mountain. If you've ever read the Brother Grimm's fairy tales, most of the stories are inspired by this area over here. Like I said, they have a lot of stories of the witches and that sort of thing, and it's also inspired by the culture and the forest and the environment. So it really is a picturesque area, and it's really definitely a nice place to visit. In winter, they do have some skiing, so there are some one or two ski slopes, but you really can't compare it to something like the Zugspitze or the Alps in southern Germany. So yeah, definitely if you get a chance, have a look at the try visit some of these towns and have a look at the scenery and the architecture. And I'll put some links of my map in the description below, as well as some links to some information on Harz Mountain. The total trip, according to Google, took me 4 hours and 306 kilometers. I did it in a day. I actually did a lot more kilometers. I was more close to 400 kilometers, and I think I did it with a number of stops, around 6 hours. So 400 kilometers in 6 hours, and for a day trip, I think that's okay. But you might want to break it up into multiple stages and maybe stay overnight somewhere. Yeah, it was a great little trip. Second trip on my bike. The first one was to Hamburg, which was about 150 kilometers, and that was on the Autobahn, so getting quite high speeds. And the second trip to through the Harz, more scenic and more enjoyable. But as usual, the true test is in the experience.